It's not easy to invent a new genre. And in the K-pop industry, where companies spend millions to debut their groups, going for an experimental sound is a very risky task. So who is this K-pop group that's attempting to do just that? What is this genre they're pioneering, and how can it change the way that you make music? This is a weird combination of a two-step hi-hat pattern with a Brazilian funk kick and clap pattern. It doesn't sound great, because Brazilian funk is an extremely bouncy genre of music that emphasizes the offbeat. But because of the two-step hi-hat pattern, the rhythm becomes a bit muddy. What would sound better is something like this. You see how much the bounce changes? Wait, what are we even talking about right now? This is the first part of OO, the debut song by NMIXX, JYP's new girl group who debuted in 2022. Note how I said first part. This is the second part of the song. Do you hear anything in common between those two sections? Well, we shouldn't, because there isn't anything. Here was NMIXX's next major comeback later in 2022. And again, there's that drastic change up in sound. So why was JYP giving NMIXX songs like this? Both songs have rough transitions, they're not very coherent, and overall, there's just kind of a lot going on. But that's the point. See, these two songs that NMIXX released are a genre of music called MixxPop. Coined by JYP, MixxPop is essentially blending multiple music genres into one song. But people had mixed feelings about this concept. To me, OO and DICE were cool ideas, but they failed to properly utilize the genre mashing idea. And look, there's a reason why groups like LE SSERAFIM are so popular right now. Simple, catchy songs have lots of viral potential because in 2025, people just don't have the attention span for longer, complex songs. So writers and producers like me have to focus on making super catchy and memorable hooks. But NMIXX is trying to pioneer their own sound. Soñar combined Latin grooves with a UK garage switch-up. Again, cool idea, but not the greatest execution. For many people, the MixxPop concept still just wasn't hitting the mark. But then, we entered 2024. Dash is what MixxPop was meant to be. It's the culmination of 2 years spent honing a sound. So, what sets this song apart from NMIXX's previous comebacks? Right off the bat, we're thrown into this groove with the acapella and the drum fills and the brass hits. Now, pay attention because this is important to understand. Listen closely to what happens when I remove a certain part of the vocals. Dash, I wanna dash, I wanna run it. Dash, I wanna dash, I wanna run it. It doesn't sound nearly as captivating anymore. So, what's missing? So what I took out here was the vocal harmonies. The average music enjoyer might overlook harmonies, but in all types of music, they are so important. They enhance melodies so you remember them better, they create richer texture, and they are vital for conveying emotions. Dash is full of these thick harmonies, and it's a big reason why it sounds so much better than OO or DICE. Plus, they throw in a lot of crispy chromaticism, which makes the song so much more interesting to listen to. Dash, I wanna run it, dash. But of course, harmonies and chromaticism don't make or break a song. Another big reason why Dash sounds so great is because of the switch up. Listen to how the songwriters and producers make this transition. It has that familiar pop rock vibe from OO, but something's different. OO's transition isn't too smooth. On the other hand, here's Dash again. Pay close attention. Do you hear it? The tempo is the same. By keeping the BPM the same, the change-up is much less jarring. And the cherry on top is the transition back into the hook. I just wanna continue my pace. So you can see, by slowly adding more percussion, you can tell you're going back into the hook instead of it being a really sudden switch. Dash is the perfect use of MixxPop. It has the NMIXX sound, but it also appeals to the average listener. And I was glad to see that they did it again with See That. Again, we get a refreshing switch up, but the tempo stays the same to ease us into it. Now, we need to stop for a second. Those of you familiar with K-pop might be scratching your heads right now, because NMIXX's genre matching idea has been done before, with aespa. In fact, one of the biggest criticisms of NMIXX is that they copied aespa. The whole practice of using a drastic switch up was done first by them. So JYP was definitely inspired to an extent, and I think it's important to acknowledge that. But NMIXX is not a copy and paste group by any means. SM has developed a hyperpop centered sound for aespa, which is nowhere near the soundscape that NMIXX is in. And if you check out the video I made on aespa's music production, you'll hear that both group sounds are very clearly unique. By the way, what is NMIXX's sound? 2 years ago, I would have categorized their music as energetic pop with punk and rock elements, but recently that's been changing. Check this out. In late 2024, NMIXX released this Tiny Desk concert with 100% live raw vocals. Performances like this are rare in the K-pop industry. We already knew their vocal abilities were next level, but this is just ridiculous. And hold on, are you listening to the band's instrumentation? Doesn't it remind you of the two songs we were just listening to? Dash and See That were hints for NMIXX's future sound, and I believe that jazzy funk and R&B sound mixed with hip-hop is where NMIXX is headed. Know About Me is NMIXX's most recent 2025 comeback. It's a huge sonic shift from their early releases. From their loud, chaotic sound to a smooth, intricate vibe, it's a great blend of trap, R&B, and a little bit of EDM spice, and most of all, it's easy for the general listener to enjoy. So let me show you how to make a song inspired by their new comeback. I love the R&B elements of Know About Me, so I wanted to create a similar vibe using this piano layered with a smooth pad. Then a nice synth bass tucked right into the mix. Hip-hop has been one of the stable styles for NMIXX's discography, especially for the title track, so I took a trap route here for the drums. Now, even though Know About Me didn't have a switch up, I doubt NMIXX is gonna leave their MixxPop roots. I mean, mix is literally in their name. And by the way, if you want to use the same sounds you see me use in my videos, check out my sound kits in the description below. There's stuff for R&B, hip-hop, and most recently, my throwback K-pop kit. I'm looking forward to hearing what's next for NMIXX. While they had a rough start, they stuck to their ideas, developed their sound, and are continuing to showcase their ridiculous talents. So as you think about your own next steps, whether that's in school or music or any other aspect of your life, sit down and really think, how can I mix things up today?